In this video, we are going to test out Snapmirror. Snapmirror is basically used for remote replication. So we are going to make replication from PR to DR, and this is my cluster 2 and this one is my cluster 1. So in order to have the replication, first we need to have a session between cluster 1 and cluster 2. So we'll create the interconnects. So this is the procedure to create an interconnect. I'm creating an interconnect. Interconnect. Better to name C1 interconnect 01 and IP is 192.168.0.105. subnet mask 24. .1 is my subnet gateway. This is one of the interconnect which we have created. .105. I'll create another interconnect for my second node. Naming standard what I was following, C1. Okay, this is C1 interconnect interconnect 02 for the second node. The IP is 192.168.0.106. subnet 24, gateways .1, and we have created this interconnect. So we created an interconnect in the cluster 1. Likewise, we'll create an interconnect on the cluster 2 as well. I'm going to create C2 interconnect 01. IP is 192.168.0.107. same IP segment. And again I'll create interconnect for my second node, C2 interconnect 02 for my second node. IP is 192.168.108. 24. So 107 and 108 is in the cluster 2, 105 and 106 is in the cluster 1. Now we'll create a pair. So we'll make a cluster pair. These are the interconnects of this particular cluster. Likewise, you'll see the interconnect created over here as well into the other cluster. Now we'll create the pair. This is going to be QWERTY 123. Yeah, I will add my interconnect 192.168.0 of the cluster 2. So cluster 2 is 107, 107, 108, 107 and 192.168.0.108 will initiate the pairing. So it is getting initialized, and which need to be done here. We will, once it has been done here, then only it will populate the information there. It is QWERTY 1 to 3, what I mentioned earlier. Same. Now this time we'll mention the interconnect information in that side. It is not discovered, not paired, because still we are doing the cluster pairing on the cluster 2, which is our destination side 192.168.0.105 and 192.168.0.106. Okay, so we create the pairing. So cluster pairing has been initialized. Once this has been done, here it will list out the information over here as well. Pair cluster, manage cluster pair. It is showing OK over here. Enabled. Let me check. Yep, now it is green. So we have SVM already created in this lab. So we have one SVM, C2 SVM1, and we have one SVM here, C1 SVM2. So we'll replicate from SVM2 to C2 SVM1. So I'm just going to create the pair over here, SVM pair. We'll go in settings and we'll create the pairing. I'm going to pair this 2 with my cluster 2's, this one, and it will initiate, it will send the token over there on the cluster 2. The cluster pairing has been done. Okay, now since the cluster pairing has been done, we can proceed and start doing our configuration for the replication. So first what we'll do, we create the policy. We'll go in cluster pair, we'll create our policy for async replication. It is already there, like async is already there. We can either utilize this or we can create our own as well. So if we have to create our own, then I'll say C1 sync async Snapmirror policy 1. This is for storage VM. Better we keep the scope to the cluster itself. Then we can transfer it hourly, every 5 minutes, 6 hourly. So I'm going to keep every 5 minutes it will send the data from PR to DR. And I think that's enough. No need to do the network compression. We can utilize this some load balancer on the network. Okay, and copy all the source snapshots, copies, and yes, we created this. This is a policy. Now this policy need to be configured. So I'll go in my cluster. I want to replicate one volume which has been created on SVM C1 SVM1. So I will select this one. I'm going to protect this volume to my destination C2. Here it will show async policy, and this one is recently we created. So ideally the async and the one which we created same. Every 5 minutes it will replicate from the PR to DR, and we'll keep the uh, same setting over here and implement. So this is how we configure the replication from PR to DR. So we create the replication from PR to DR. So let's validate the relationship. We can see this is replicating. So let's put some data on this particular volume. So it is already mounted. Let me let's validate the export policy. Not here. Let me edit the export policy. So we'll create the new export policy for this one. I'm going to create the NFS for my client just to push some data from there. So I'll create one client. I'll take access to one client. Here it is. Root. This is my CentOS from where I can access. So I'll just check IPs. The IP delegate is 10.0. So I'll create one new policy, name NFS, adding the rule. For this complete segment I'll add give complete permissions, and that should be enough. Let me check the interconnect network interface. Show for the V server C1 underscore SVM2. So through this interface I could able to connect. Let me validate this one. Show about -e. Let me check the network configuration as well. It should work. S1 root permissions. Let me check root as well. I will use the same NFS export policy on this one as well. Otherwise I might face an issue in mounting this particular volume. I should be able to reach this interface. It is reachable. Let me check the V server. Storage V server is the NFS policy is not enabled. That's the reason it wasn't working properly. Let me start the NFS policy. Yeah, now NFS is enabled. So I'll execute the same command and now it is working fine. So I can mount my source side. We can see has been mounted perfectly and it is occupying we got approximately 1 GB of space. I'll just push 500 GB of data, 500 MB of data. Block size, I'm going to give 1 MB and count equal to 500 so that the file should be of 500 MB. Now 500 MB has been pushed and the content inside the slash T1 is 500 MB, the file name. Now we have pushed that much data in from PR to DR. So how to synchronize the data? In order to synchronize, we'll update. So it will pull the data from the source to the DR. So it must pull the data, and I'll go in here. I will validate the volume which has been created over here. This is the volume vol1 destination which has been created, and it should be data should be transferring right now. It should be in the phase of transferring data. It is showing relationship is successful, and let me go over here in volumes. Let me create export policy for this one as well. New export policy. I'll give the same name NFS. I'll give the IP 192.168.0.0/24. Anyone within same subnet range could able to mount the share. I have created the export policy. Now I can go over here and I'll use the same export policy for the root volume as well, so that I should not face any problem while mounting. Since I have created the export policy, so let's try mounting it. We haven't done the failover, just we have synchronized the data from PR to DR. So let's find out. Yes, I could able to see. So let me create one directly just to validate T1 DR. Now I'll mount it. I'll navigate to this particular DR directory and list out. I am having a same 500 MB file over here what I have created in source, but if I want to create anything over here, some new file in the DR, I can't, because this is read only. It is protected site. Whereas if I want to write anything in the PR, I could able to do. The reason because this site is active site, so now the content is 1 and 500 MB, and however in this DR site the container is still same. So I'll again try sync it, otherwise I have to wait for 5 minutes, because I have mentioned in the schedule policy that it will get synchronized after 5 minutes. So I'll go here, I'll click, I'll update. So then in DR I should able to see the file 1, now cat1, and it is still, I have the updated file. Still if I want to write, I could not able to do it. So that's it. That's how we can make the Snapmirror relation from PR to DR. In further section we'll see how to perform the failover from PR to DR.